definitive here.
No, and listen, I do get the sense like, he's saying, and I get this, and in a way, I'm glad. Like, he's like, rule number one as a doctor is first do no harm. He's like, I don't want to just jump into something. So I do have an appointment for a cortisone shot on the 22nd. By the way, 2 weeks because the doctor's just booked up until then. I'm like, it's just always like sucks. Like, you can't just give it to me right now. He doesn't do that. It's like, okay, So, we'll see. My sister had a cortisone shot like, what'd she say, 5 months ago, and it helped her a lot. She has hip issues as well. I don't think it's as severe as mine, but
mine didn't help me at all.
You did get a cortisone shot?
Yeah, and mine didn't help me for 1 minute.
Didn't do shit.
I must have missed or something. I didn't fucking feel 1 minute of relief.
Did you get an MRI?
No, not yet.
Okay. Is that in the works or?
Well, the way I felt the other day, yes. And then today I'm like, oh, I don't know. So I'm like,
I know.
And then my doctor just changed offices too. So now I got to wait. It's fucking crazy, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know. Listen, if I'm going to do something, I'd rather get it done. I don't want to go to the doctor in November. I want to schedule something for November so I could be ready for golf next year. But
has your doctor brought up the idea of a replacement?
No.
Okay, so that's not really.
He just thinks it's like fucking
arthritis.
Because
mine's definitely arthritis. Like I definitely got a little
hip bursitis. He called it
bursitis. Okay, well that's actually better.
Like an impingement.
Right. That's a better situation. Do you still do all your exercises on your own?
I don't do it religiously. I should probably start getting back on that.
I do them like guaranteed at least once a day, sometimes twice.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, the more I do them, the better I feel. Sometimes I just don't do it like a second time. But yeah, it's just awful, man. It's fucking awful.
Yeah, it is. It for sure is, dude.
Anyway.
All right, let's go. Yeah, sorry, man.
I really was, when I was picking up the kids, I'm like, it was so bad. And I'm like, I can't do this to Scotty again. Like, because there was that one time where I think I called you around 3 and I'm like, dude, I can't fucking do it, man. I can't. I got back, I took the drugs, I sat down here, like extended my legs, and it's at least calm enough to where I can do this, and it'll be okay. So plus it's fun.
Listen, if you get an agony, just pull it, dude. No problem.
I'll just make a face and then I'll fight through it. It's okay.
All right, we'll speed through some shit hopefully, and
we'll be good.
At least get something out there, All
right, let me get it started here. What are we going to start with? At the LIV, the PGA stuff? Yeah, sounds good. Totally cool. All right, here we go. What's up, everybody, and welcome to Bump and Run. I'm Pete Colasano, joined as always by the man, Scott Bracey. What is going on, dude?
Peter, it's been a couple weeks. How are you, buddy? Beside the obvious,
I'm doing okay. Besides the hip, for sure. Noticed a couple pictures on social media. You've been to a few Yankee games lately. Things have been looking up.
And then we got more injuries heading our way. We will discuss that in a couple of minutes.
We'll do that for sure. A lot going on. PGA LIV stuff, some baseball talk, some very encouraging, or I should say a very encouraging football story that I wanted to bring up that was really cool. And then obviously we got the NBA Finals. So why don't we get started without wasting any more time? And the big story of the week, of course, and this was just yesterday as we record this on Wednesday, is that the PGA and LIV golf tours, along with the DP, which is basically the European golf tour. Am I correct with that? Is that the European?
DP something. Yeah.
They've decided to combine and be basically under one umbrella now, which is fascinating to me. So before we even get into any of the details, which we don't have a ton of details.
No, we do not.
But the one detail that we do have is that you and I love how actually Trump gets credit for saying like a 6 months ago or a year ago that they're going to end up combining. We were saying it long before even the Trumpster was saying it. So again, credit to us. We're always ahead of the curve on these types of things. We've been saying there's no way this can continue where it's just going to be a battle royal. Sooner or later, they're going to have to come up with some kind of accommodation for both of these groups. I got to be honest with you. I'm a little shocked that it's, I guess I'll call it like unified ownership or unified organization. I didn't think they'd go quite that far. I thought they would just come up with some kind of rules that say, hey, you can do both. You can do whatever you want. But if you want to be part of this tour, you have to play this many events. If you want to play part of this tour, you have to do this many events, which would have been totally fair. Everyone wins. Nobody loses. The track that they were on was that both were losing. And then obviously, I think the impetus for this to even happen, more than anything, it's always comes down to money. First of all, it's always about money. And in the end, it was about money because of the money that I think the organization the Saudis have is called the PIF, if I'm not mistaken. The People's Something Fund. Investment Fund for Saudi Arabia. It's tons of money, and they like the backing. But obviously sponsors. But the bigger thing was you had two major tournaments this year, the Masters and a PGA. The Masters had 3 LIV players in the top 6. One of them, Koepka, was leading the tournament after 52 holes, 36 holes, whatever the hell it was.
Holes or whatever.
54. And then Koepka ends up winning the PGA Championship. The PGA was putting their players in an awful position because, as we were saying, you're starting to water down the victories that these guys are getting. Because what do you have this weekend? RBC, the Canadian Open or whatever the hell it is.
This weekend coming up or next weekend or last
weekend?
I'm not sure actually.
I think it's the RBC. Rory's defending it. What happens is if you win a tournament like that, or if you win the Waste Management Phoenix Open, people look at it and say, yeah, that's nice, but Dustin wasn't here, and Phil wasn't here, and Koepka wasn't here, and Cam Smith wasn't here, and all these guys weren't here. And then when you see these live players at the majors and they're kicking ass, it's like, you see, they actually have the better players, which there's a real argument to be made that they do. At least big time major winners. A lot of them are in the live, organization. So I think it was inevitable that they did. I was just a little surprised that they're now all under one umbrella, and what that will mean, we don't have the details on yet.
What's funny for me is 2 years of nonsense, and then how it broke. Greg Norton wasn't even involved. He didn't even know about it. It was kind of like under the table kind of thing. And then
Rory didn't know either.
Rory didn't know. Monahan breaks this thing like ridiculously. Yeah. And Rory, the face of PGA, we've stuck up for Rory for a year and a half with this thing. And then he's one of the guys, he said something before, he feels like he said some kind of word that it was the right word. He felt like the scapegoat or whatever, and like getting like the face of sticking up for the PGA Tour. And he turned down all that money, dude, and defended. And now he gets what? A thank you?
Well, that's one of the big problems that you're going to get now. So what's the guy's name? Jay Monahan?
Yeah, Monahan.
Yeah. Monahan is definitely his last name, the PGA commissioner. He's in a really tough spot for a couple reasons. So right now we're on one of them, which is the players. You had players. I'm sure Rory was offered well north of $100 million to play and live on the Live Tour, and he turned it down. I'm sure Jordan Spieth. I'm sure Justin Thomas. I'm sure all those guys were offered north of Fowler. Maybe I think he was offered $75 million.
Oh, okay.
I think I read that today that he was offered $75 million. Shit. Who the hell was that? Scheffler, Matsuyama, Morikawa. All these guys were offered all north of $75 million. That's before you even play a tournament. That's just cash in hand, or you'll get that over 5 years, whatever the hell the contract was for. That's before you even play a tournament. That doesn't count tournament winnings. That doesn't count the fact that you only play 3 days instead of 4. Okay, so that's clearly a big problem. Like, how do you make those guys whole? Who, you said that you told them that it was they were traitors if they left the PGA, and now you're joining the Live Tour. You're joining forces with the Live Tour. The hypocrisy that's going on here with the PGA is massive. That's why I'm saying I'm a little surprised that it's an organizational coming together, not just some kind of just agreement that says, hey, you got your tour, we got ours. Guys can play both. If they want to be part of ours, they have to have a minimum, which I did see today. I was just watching Golf Channel before we came on here, and they were talking about how you're going to have to play 15 events to maintain your PGA card. So that makes sense to me. Why join forces? Why join forces? And then they started talking about how there's probably some legal issues that Monahan got boxed in and he didn't have much choice at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because the other hypocrisy, of course, and this one goes way beyond golf, is that Monahan basically co-opted the whole 9/11 families organization, saying that this is a disgrace that you would take blood money from the Saudis, and now you're taking blood money from the Saudis.
Right.
I don't know how you unwind that. I don't know how you unwind that part.
Yeah, I think he's in trouble long term.
That's a problem. So my guess is also he was either offered some kind of deal with Liv, like if the PGA fires you, we'll take care of you, or there's always more there. There'll be some kind of golden parachute that he'll land, whatever the case may be, because there's no way he was just gonna. But it's an awful spot to be in because you look awful. But it was all bullshit in the first place because the PGA makes money from Saudi Arabia. I've said this how many times? Does NBC make money from Saudi Arabia? Of course they do, and NBC owns Golf Channel. Does CBS play the tournaments in Saudi Arabia? Of course they do. You take that money. And even just Americans who think it's gross that you're taking this money from Saudi Arabia, I hear where you're coming from, but you drive a car that is fueled by Saudi oil. And you're just as much a hypocrite as anybody else. I don't like that. I'm not trying to call you out. I'm just saying you think you're pure, you're not. You're not. Nobody is.
Yeah, you said that. You said that from day one.
Absolutely.
You said something before about how the tournaments are better with all these live guys in it. We just saw 2 majors with it. I hate how all this went down. I feel like it was very sneaky. You could kind of make an argument the whole thing was kind of set up from day one. It's very weird.
Well, let me just interrupt you. I think it had to be because if people got wind that the PGA was working out a deal, dude, the uproar. They never would have been able to finalize it because there probably would have been pickets outside of the PGA central office, wherever that may be.
Well, I'm just speaking from my opinion. No, I don't like how it went down, but I think in the long term it's good for golf. We get all the stars back week by week, and now all the tournaments are justified.
So we don't know what it's going to be yet. Here's what I just heard: the LIV, or at least Greg Norman, has announced, as far as they're concerned, nothing will change. They're saying there will still be an LIV tour. You will still have your money. They have been and are still booking tournaments and tournament locations for 2024 and 25. So I don't know, I don't know what that exactly. And again, it hasn't been made fun of, and I don't know that they know exactly what this all means. Okay. You might get something where the PGA Tour is from, basically January through August, and then those fall winter months might be specifically LIV stuff. You might have something where once a month during the, PGA Tour months, you can have an LIV event, and then the players will have to decide whether or not, which ones they want to attend. But from what I understand and what I heard today, both entities will still exist. And this is why I found it even more interesting that they're combining under one umbrella as one organization, because there will still be 2 tours. At least that's what they're saying right now. And that's interesting. And if that's the case, this is what we were saying from the beginning. Why? And this is what I thought the PGA might have lost an antitrust battle in court, because how do you just shut guys out? Under what pretense are you shutting guys out? I don't get that.
Right.
When you think of if you think of Brittany Griner was playing in Russia, was playing basketball in Russia, even though she plays in the WNBA, she was making money outside of the WNBA. Would that be illegal? Would that be wrong according to PGA? Or are guys allowed to go do their thing when they're not playing in a PGA Tour? To me, that was a mistake. We've said it 100 times right from the beginning with the PGA, was that you're banning players. Under what pretense? Under what law? And this is why I brought this up so many times. And I was talking with Mike Dean from Dean Dome Sports yesterday, texting with them back and forth. I said, how does Tiger Woods have a PGA card? How does he get to play in every major if he wants to.
If he wants to, right.
But plays in no PGA Tour events. Just because he's Tiger Woods, he doesn't play PGA Tour events. He doesn't play 15 events a year to keep his card. Now, I totally understand that's Tiger Woods and the rules are different. But why? Why? Why can't Dustin Johnson play 15 PGA events and the rest of the time he's on the LIV?
Yeah. Well, we might see that now.
My guess is that'll happen to some degree. Yeah. So I agree with you. I think this is long-term good news. I think there's some short-term like major heat that's going to come down, and a lot of shit that needs to be like ironed out between the PGA and the players that turn down the money, and the PGA and like I'll say patriotic Americans or Americans who lost loved ones at 9/11. That's gonna be a tough one. That's a tough one to sell. My guess is Monahan was boxed in that between legal issues, money, whatever, and probably some pressure from the fact that LIV players have been playing really good in major tournaments. I think a combination of those, plus I'm sure some things that we don't even know. I don't know that he had much of a choice.
Yeah.
To make yourself out to be that much of a hypocrite.
Yeah, you're out of options, I think, at that point.
I think so. And that, to your point, is why it was so gross that it was so quiet, kind of like a backroom cigar smoke filled, political deal, backroom deal, like. And then you just come out with this thing on a Tuesday afternoon, like, holy shit. Like, what the hell happened?
Tuesday mid-morning, like, what the fuck?
Yeah. So we'll see what it turns out to. Be. But if for no other reason, I'm glad that the controversy of it is over, because I don't think it ever should have been this way in the first place. So, and I will say, I think the PGA did themselves a disservice, and they're a loser in this. They might be a long-term winner, but they're the loser here. They look like the loser because you were bashing Live players, the Live Tour, Greg Norman, and now you're practically owned by the Live Tour.
And you got to walk around with your tail tucked between your legs. All you.
Could you imagine him having to show up with like a little LIV, like
logo on his
hotel or something like that? I mean, you talk about, if I'm the Saudis, I'm like, you're going to have to do that for the first 6 months.
Ooh.
Stick it right up his ass. So he fucked up. Monahan fucked up by playing such hardball, and now he's paying for it, and it doesn't look good. So it's not a good look. But I'm glad it's over. In one way or another, I'm glad it's over.
Yeah, it'll die down, but for a little while, it's going to be hot and sticky.
Yeah. Speaking of Brooks Koepka, he won the PGA Championship 2 weeks ago. We didn't get a chance to get together last week because scheduling conflicts. But first of all, let me just say, I thought the course was awesome. It had a very much like a U.S. Open feel to it, which I'm down with. I love when the course is super difficult for players. Thick. It was great. And for my money, to me, that's the better way of what we used to call tiger proofing these courses, like long drive proofing the course. Make it a real penalty to hit the ball in the rough. And they did it in this one. And it says, hey, you want to hit it long? It might go in the rough, or be in the fairway and be able to score. So it was great. The fact that they played in the rain on Saturday, the course held up, still played fast on the greens.
Yeah.
That was incredible. And it was incredible. So it was a great tournament. And obviously, it's amazing this this very, very rarely happens that we'll say like an amateur or a club pro overshadows the win for someone like Brooks Koepka. The story, what's the guy's name now? The club pro that ended up in what?
Yep.
10th place.
Oh my God.
I'm drawing a blank on his name.
Me too. It took a week.
I know. I can't remember his name. How crazy is it that we're taking the camera off the leader, second place, third place guys, and we're watching a guy who's a club pro, shoot a 70, 70, 70, and 71. It was absolutely amazing. And it was a shitload of fun. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him on the course, but as someone who, is commentating, you know what I mean? You know how they put a guy on the course that's working with the players? I could totally see him because he was hamming it up, dude. He was really playing to the crowd really, really well. He interviewed fantastic. I think that was part of why it was so fun too, because he was a cool dude. Like, he played it well, kind of like giving the Michael Jordan shrug after he hit a couple putts. Like, oh, you believe this? Like, so
crazy, man.
Yeah, on multiple levels, it was really, really cool. But yeah, Brooks Koepka just, when he's
Michael Block.
Michael Block. Michael Block. Just a great story, fun story. In fact, he got invited to the following week's tournament, and he got invited to another tournament. Yeah,
That's golf.
Awful. Had a rough one. But that was the first time I've seen Koepka get emotional. And I didn't realize how serious his knee injury was before he had surgery and got it fixed up. Right? Like, he's talking about the fact that he didn't know if he was even going to be able to play anymore.
I know.
That's
well,
really...
Listen, as we know, when you're in pain and everything's so negative, you feel like the walls are coming in on you. So
yep, the world's coming to an end. So the post round interview with him, that was like the most you're ever gonna get emotionally out of Brooks Koepka. Like, he's a pretty dry kind of FU kind of guy, like pretty brash, pretty confident. And
then he lived it up for a while after that.
Oh, for sure. Oh yeah, definitely. So, and as we said before, a live player coming over, winning the tournament. Nobody can tell me that didn't have anything to do with the events that happened over the last couple of days with this combining of these organizations. It absolutely did. So.
Yeah, it's good to see Brooks back. Confidence is back, and his game is back, and he's dangerous when that happens. So
absolutely.
We'll see going forward.
You know what else is interesting about that tournament was, and it tells you, and what I mean by interesting is, like, this talks to how great the player is. Scottie Scheffler was not playing particularly well, like for him, and yet he still finished the top 10.
It's incredible.
I know it's insane. Even this past weekend, he finished top 10.
Horrible Thursday, and
like, how good are you? When you're putting kind of poor for you for a pro, but yet you're still top 10. Like, Jesus
Crazy.
Christ.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, we're definitely going to be seeing more of him.
Yep,
always up there.
Where do you want to go? NBA Finals?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
All right, Denver, Miami tied at 1. Denver won the first game comfortably. Miami had a great fourth quarter, come back and tie it in Denver. Now they play game 3 tonight. What do you see this ending at here? What do you think? What do you give the edge to here?
I still think Denver. I think they're the better team. I think they have the better players at the top of the lineup.
Yeah.
I don't.
But there's something about Miami's heartbeat, dude. There's something.
Come on. I mean, there's an 8 seed that keeps knocking off better teams. It's you know what? In a weird way, I wish it wasn't like Denver, because I'm kind of rooting for Denver. First championship, first opportunity. Jokic. 2 back-to-back MVPs, and then I don't want to say he got screwed out of it this year, but didn't get it this year, but now he's in the finals. Like, way more important than the MVP.
Yeah.
So I've been pulling for Denver this whole time. I've kind of predicted from kind of the first round. When we first saw the first round, we talked about it, and I said, to me, Denver was the most, at least first 2 rounds even. I said Denver's the most dominant team. I think they looked the best, and they did, and swept the Lakers. We didn't really get to talk about that. Although they were close games, they swept the Lakers. So I'm kind of rooting for them. I wish it was kind of more like the Lakers or Phoenix with KD, and then I would be all over the Miami train. You know what I mean? Rooting for them. So. But it's a cool story no matter what. It's fantastic. How many players do they have that were undrafted?
Oh, a ton.
It's amazing.
At least 4, I think. Maybe
I think it's even more than that. Yeah. And it's just and not just players, like major contributors. Like really major contributors. And it's a lot of fun to watch. And in the beginning of this run, in the first couple rounds of the playoffs, it was all Jimmy Butler. But since then, it's not. He's back to kind of what Jimmy does. Now, he certainly shows up in those big spots and everything. But it really is, and this doesn't – I'm thinking like the last team I saw that it was like that team effort, no superstars, just a great team. Detroit Pistons. I'm trying to think of who were some of the players, like Prince.
Rip Hamilton.
Tayshaun Prince.
Chauncey Billups, Ben and Rasheed Wallace. Like they were like –
Yeah, that was a team. They had no all NBA players on that team, and
no, they just fit in great with each other.
They just really work perfectly. This is the best I've seen. Yes, yeah. Know each other, play well together. If they were on other teams, probably wouldn't be the same player that they were on that team.
Right.
You know?
And then
You could-
because you go back and you got the Curry, the Warrior teams, LeBron's teams always had him obviously as a star.
Superstars.
Durant's teams,
Kobe,
Kobe's team, Shaq, the Spurs with that. So that's
Spurs,
like
right. Good call.
yeah, it's
So yeah, there's no doubt about it. But the NBA is a superstar-driven league, and this is not a superstar team at all. But here they are, and every freaking time we count, I don't. When I say we, I'll say like sports media says, okay, this is finally it. Now I'm thinking like the finals, the Eastern Conference Finals. We didn't even get to talk about that. What an unbelievable show that was.
Man, definitely.
You know, Miami takes a 3-0 lead, and then it's over. And I think we actually talked, and I said, I'll give them a 5% chance. Because the way I looked at that was, could Boston sweep Miami? I think they could. If this series had just started. You know, I thought Boston could sweep them. So they tie it up at 3, and now you got a home game, and you're like, dude, this is a lock.
Dud.
Right? It's a lock for Boston. It's a lock, all right. Miami comes out and wins basically wins by 20 on the road after losing 3 straight. Like, they don't make sense. And that's why, like, you asked me, and this is a super long answer for you, like, what do I think? I still think Denver, because they have the superstars at the top, and their superstars always produce. Murray and Jokic always produce. But Miami is just fucking unique, man. It's just a really, really unique situation.
I got Denver in 6, but I'm not too confident about that.
No, I wouldn't be either. Yeah, I wouldn't be either. And again, like I said, like I'm kind of rooting Denver, but you know, I kind of like the chaos is good for us. You know what I mean? When it gets nutty, it's definitely good for us. So
I hate so many days off in between too.
Oh,
because you kind of get like you kind of forget about it a little bit, and you don't want that in a final.
Dude, you are 100% on point on this one. This one is driving me nuts. After game 1, I'm like, when the hell is this game? And it wasn't until Sunday. And then not till tonight. Like, you forget that they're even in a series.
I know. It's crazy.
And it just now listen, the ratings have been pretty good. They've gotten over 11 million viewers both first 2 games. So that's great compared to you had
the last few
8 and change when it was Curry, you know, the Warriors and
Boston last year.
Which is it's a huge improvement. So that's great. But it just sucks when you got all this time in between. I don't know why they need 3 days or 2 days of rest. Why does got to be every third day? A game. It's just ridiculous. You start to lose momentum. I just think that's a bad decision. But it's been a lot of fun. I have to admit, I don't watch any NBA regular season, but the playoffs are always a much better product. And these particular playoffs have been great.
Mm-hmm.
I will say one more thing about the previous series between Denver and the Lakers. What the Lakers tried to do with LeBron, you know me. I mean, neither of us are LeBron lovers per se, but we respect who he is, what he's done, the kind of player he is. I mean, give me a break. It's pretty obvious, top 5 player of all time, wherever you put him in that list. Dude, you can't ask a guy who's 38 years old. It's the Western Conference Finals now, so you almost played a whole half a season of playoff games.
Yep.
And you want him to play 45 minutes? Come on, dude. I don't care what kind of great shape he's in. He can't play 45 minutes and still be fresh at the end of the game.
No, I think I said this 2 weeks ago. I'm not a huge fan, but I respect the hell out of him now. I think I respect him more now than I have. And Anthony Davis, enough with the star shit from him. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
He's a very good player.
Yeah, I don't
sometimes is there and sometimes disappears. It's as simple as that. When he's on, he's this difficult a matchup as there is in the NBA.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just because he can shoot. He's quick. He's aggressive. He's fast
smart.
off the floor for a big man. Yeah. But Jesus Christ, does he just disappear sometimes? And you can't be a superstar and disappear like that. But yeah, I kind of agree with you with a little respect for LeBron. If he just wouldn't say dumb shit as often as he does.
Well, that's a horse of a different color. But yeah,
the way he went out there and it would have been really easy. You're down 3-0. It would have been really easy for him to go out there and just kind of like go through the motions. You're not winning that series, but he didn't. He came out, balls to the wall, and gave it everything he had. I just think it was kind of unfair to expect him to go 45 minutes at that kind of pace. It's just
at that deep in.
Man. No way.
Yeah.
Get that deep into the season and at 38 years old. So, but it's been a lot of fun. I always love when we have good stories. Good stories usually make good sports. And Miami is, frankly, both of these teams, are good. It's a good story. First time Denver being in the NBA Finals, and the whole no real superstars. Even if you consider Jimmy Butler a superstar, outside of him, no superstars.
Yeah, and then you have the Spoelstra story too. How great he's been, how many finals that he'd have been in the last whatever years, and Pat Riley disciple, and the guy works hard. And
so you mentioned Pat Riley. Did you hear the stat about him and NBA Finals?
No.
Okay, so since the beginning of NBA championships, since there's been an NBA championship, I guess that's from the time that the leagues combined. I don't
merger.
Know. The merger, maybe. I'm not sure about that. He has been in the finals as a player, a coach, or a GM 25% of the time. 19 fucking times he's been in the finals.
Holy shit.
That's insane. It's like every fourth year he's in it.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Crazy when you think
Good job, Knicks. Way to go. Good job.
They had him. They let him go. That's your boy James Dolan. That was a brilliant move. That's the biggest thing holding the Knicks back, and you know it.
Yep.
And he ain't ever selling.
No.
He ain't ever selling. Why would he?
And now we're starting to let down the Rangers too, I think. Now it's coming around both sports. I got a Jets thing for you, buddy.
Ooh, we got some Jets. All right.
I heard something this morning, or maybe you just say, I don't know, every day's kind of like rolling into one here. Hard Knocks has come calling for the New York Jets. Only 4 options. The Jets, the Saints, the Commanders, and the Bears. I think the rules are no team with a new head coach, and if you made the playoffs in the last 2 years.
Is that how it works?
I think that's what. And there's a third kind of small thing there. So let me ask you, bud, do you want them?
I mean, the quick
They're
answer is
super
no.
relevant now. The
quick answer is no. So you just brought up something that I didn't know. I didn't know that if you couldn't have been in the playoffs the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Because I've always looked at it and said, well, it's a distraction and a team doesn't play well. Well, you weren't a good team in the first place, usually. So even Detroit last year. So this is where my own hypocrisy might come into play. You got me watching last year, and I loved it. So there's certainly a part of me that would love to watch.
The third one was you couldn't be on the show the last 10 years. That was the third one.
Okay.
So that's the Lions for
and
you.
Have they been on? They have not, right? Jets have not. The Lions been on. I think they turned it down.
Jets were on with Rex 11 years ago when they got when they got LT and Rex was like, I want a goddamn snack. Remember that whole thing? And
I didn't watch. I never watched.
Oh, dude, yeah, but they went to the AFC Championship that year. So
that's right. So you can't even blame that.
I don't know. Yeah, it's like
I mean, of course you kind of would like to see. So the Jets do something. I think it's called One Jets Drive, but it's just an internet-based kind of little thing, very similar. But you're certainly not getting the inner workings like you do with Hard Knocks. So strategically, my answer is no. Personally, my answer is fuck yeah. I want to see that shit. And or I wouldn't mind if it was the in-season one. That might be even more fun.
So I understand where you're going with that as a Jeff, but the last 2 have been disasters for those teams.
Well, that's true.
The Colts fell apart.
But weren't they already a disaster?
Well, Frank, right? No, they were they were all right that year. Remember, and then they lost
Oh shit!
That was the Carson Wentz year when they blew that last game to the Jaguars.
Yeah. Oh my god! And then last year was Arizona.
Yeah, which was a goddamn grease fire within itself. But no, Frank Wright has said, listen, it's tough when this thing's coming on Wednesday and you're watching the prior week and you're trying to get ready for a new opponent because how do you not watch it? So it's it's very hard to keep everybody So I think
take it back.
So I think you want, if you're going to do it, you want to do the preseason one. But Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to do it. He's working with a whole new group of guys.
Dude, I have to tell you, I don't know why. Maybe Aaron Rodgers was just so fucking unhappy in Green Bay. Maybe with Green Bay, Wisconsin is the most boring place on earth. I don't know what it is.
Are you starting to turn?
Well, I'm just telling you, have you ever seen the guy so happy?
Loose as a goose.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I mean, he's talking about he's telling teammates, there's no doubt I'm playing at least 2 years. how many fucking Milwaukee Bucks games did he show up, or Milwaukee Brewers games did he show? He can't go to enough activities. I think he's loving New York in general.
I
haven't
he's been the weather's been great. Like he's got like no. It's like
now listen. They start the season 0-3.
Shit that's going on now.
They start the season 0-3, and I think you're going to see the old Aaron Rodgers. But Jesus Christ, he looks happy. He looks rejuvenated. And if there's one thing we've seen from Aaron Rodgers in most of his career, is just when you announce that he's done, he kind of flips the middle finger at you and says, "Okay, hold my beer." So I really do expect a good year out of him this year. What that equates to, I'm not sure. I just really do think it's a bit premature to put the Jets in a Super Bowl bubble. Not because of schedule or anything, but it's a big ask in the AFC, man. There's a lot of really great quarterbacks. But it's just, I will just say as a fan and as someone who has ripped Aaron Rodgers for the last, I don't know how long we've been doing this. We're in our third year of doing this. So every single fucking year, because you're a pain in the balls and you bring chaos to your team, he has shown leadership. He's working with young receivers and young players. He's even working with Zach Wilson. Like you can, there's video of him like pulling Zach Wilson aside and you can see like talking to him, helping him grow. I don't recognize the guy. Now, I'm sure, like I said, I'm sure he'll show up when we go on a 3-game losing streak, but it's been at least, I'll say, I don't want to say fun, but I'll say it's like refreshing. I don't want to say refreshing. It's kind of refreshing. It's kind of like relief. Like, okay.
Yeah.
He just looks like he's happy to be here, that's a good thing.
And at June 7th, that's where you want him to be. You know,
of course.
That's where
you want chaos. Chaos is no good.
You don't want Randy Johnson getting off a fucking plane and then getting in a fight with a cameraman 42 seconds into being in New York. That's not what you want. Yeah,
exactly. Exactly. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess with Hard Knocks, I don't know. Kind of be fun. It'd be good for us what we do here.
It would be great for us.
That's for sure.
Because we were all in on the Lions last year. So now with you as a Jeff fan, it would be even better.
See, the difference is with what's his face, the head coach of the Lions.
Dan Campbell.
Campbell's like a fun watch. And all those coaches are
Salah's got a little fun to him, I think, but it's gonna
not like Dan Campbell.
Well, that's true. And we're gonna see how like loose his fucking jeans are now, because I think he's got a lot of pressure on him.
Well, I was gonna say there's definitely a match lit under his ass. You now have Aaron Rodgers. You have the best cornerback tandem in the NFL.
Yep.
You have what most considered the best corner, and you have people. People sleep on DJ Reed. He's the 8th ranked on PFF. Like if you just had DJ Reed, that would be great. He's the 8th best cornerback in the league. But no, you got top 2. I mean, 2 top 10 guys. It's ridiculous.
What's the list?
There's a lot of pressure.
Sauce
Gardner.
I know Surtain's up there.
Oh, what do you mean, the rest of the league?
Yeah, like corners. I know Diggs is up there.
Who's the guy with the Rams?
Houston. He's a Dolphin now. That'd be Ramsey.
Yeah, I don't know if is he still top 10?
I don't think he could put him. I mean, maybe.
We'll see if he's motivated this year. Maybe he gets another great year, one more great year.
I think there's a kid in Green Bay. I think that, it's you're right, bud.
You have pass rushers. They got after the quarterback last year. They didn't have a ton of sacks, but they had a lot of pressures. They were top 10 in pressures. But when you have 2 great corners, it makes your pass rush even better because you force the quarterback to hold it in there. There's pressure on Saleh. You got your guy. You got receivers. You got Mecole Hardman. You got a good running back. Hopefully have a healthy offensive line. This is a big thing. But if Becton and Elijah Vera Tucker are both healthy, dude, there are no excuses this year. Vera Tucker, I heard people talking like NFL people, like real people who I trust, NFL people, talking about how Elijah Vera Tucker might be all pro this year. Wow. Like he was on pace to be an all pro last year before he got hurt. And that was him playing multiple positions and playing them both well. Like you have one of the best linemen in the league in Elijah Vera Tucker as long as he's healthy. So there's just no excuses. If they miss the playoffs this year, I promise you Robert Saleh's done.
Yep.
He'll be done.
And you'll drive.
And listen, you know me, I like the hire. I was totally down with the hire. I like it. I liked his attitude. That first year to me, he wasn't himself. He wasn't fiery. He wasn't showing that fire. Right. He did this past season. Had a great start, bad finish. You got to make the playoffs this year. Period. End of story. Well, Joe Douglas ain't going anywhere though, because Joe Douglas has done his job. done a job with the draft, done a job of free agency, brought in Aaron Rodgers.
This
He
is
ain't
true.
going nowhere.
This is true. This is true. And that would be the fair move, too.
Yeah.
We'll stick to football. Good story in Buffalo.
Yes. DeMar Hamlin, full participation at practice. That's just cool. I mean, there's not much to say about it other than that's just cool.
Is this smart?
I was just going to ask you. I was just going to say, how do you feel about that?
I don't feel great about it. I got to tell you the truth. I think, listen, I'm no doctor. He's gotten cleared by a lot of people. So obviously this is a good thing for him to go, and he's clear to go. But the eye test to me is just kind of funky. It just makes you like your skin kind of like.
You know who it reminds me of? Not same injury at all, but the idea of when Alex Smith came in to play quarterback. He came in like fourth quarter or something like that. Was it 2 years ago?
Yeah, and then he played.
And we're all holding our breath.
Oh,
that's kind of the same thing. Like, are we sure we got this one right? Are we really sure we know what happened? Are we really sure?
Oh, his leg looked like a scrambled egg. Oh, God.
Oh, dude. I see now.
Oh.
Let me ask you this. All right, because now we're talking Alex Smith. Had you seen his leg before he went and played again?
Yeah.
I had not. So, but you hear the stories. Whatever, a dozen surgeries, almost died, almost lost a leg.
Graft, blah, blah, blah.
All this stuff. And it's like, Jesus, I was really holding my breath. It wasn't until after that I saw the leg. Oh my God, dude. It looks like a shark attack.
Oh, yeah, it does. You're right. That's a good one. Yeah.
What the hell? What was he thinking?
What was his wife thinking? Well, I guess his wife had
Dude, his wife almost had a friggin' conniption up in the stands when he first went into that game. Holy shit. But yeah, that was the feeling that I'm having when I had immediately when I read this. I'm like, that's great. And then I'm like, is it really the right thing here? Like,
I know. I don't know.
I hope so.
I hope so too.
Obviously.
Yeah,
because
the whole country's behind him.
Absolutely. I was just going to say you got a whole country rooting for him.
Higgins for sure.
Yes. So I hope it's a good story. It's great no matter what that he's out there and playing and doing well. That's huge in and of itself. If he actually makes it on the field, I will keep my fingers and toes crossed and hope that nothing happens, and we'll go from there. Of course, you probably shouldn't play when they play the Jets. Just don't play. It's a bad luck organization. You never know who that luck is going to rub off on.
One good story to one bad story. Former Cy Young winner, Jacob deGrom.
Met. Yeah, it was a New York Met.
No one's happier right now than the Mets passing on signing Jacob deGrom. He is going under Tommy John surgery for the second time.
So let me ask you something. Here's a guy who just signed for $185 million. He gets 6 starts, and now you're going to miss him for what? At least a year, maybe a year and a half?
The end of next year will be the earliest he can come back.
That's unbelievable. So what I wanted to ask you, because you follow baseball a little more closely, we'll say, than I do. When that was just a free agent signing, right?
Yes.
Were there any injury concerns? Did that have anything to do with why the Mets didn't sign him?
Remember the last couple of seasons, he'd miss a bunch of starts. He'd have this in the elbow, this in the shoulder, the leg. He'd always have something. But they did all the tests, and because I remember, Don LaGreca on the Michael Kay show is a big Met fan. He goes, dude, I almost want something. Give me something so we can fix it and move on. Like like this is like ridiculous. So I think there was just a bunch of little things that kept irritating, and now the elbow went.
You start to wonder, was it something that was wrong in the elbow, or was it all these injuries start to pile up? And we can attest to this with our hip. Okay, so we have a hip injury, but then your left shoulder starts to hurt because you're always leaning to one side. And a guy at work was saying, dude, your left calf is bigger than your right calf. Now, part of it is I don't put much weight on my right foot because of my hip. And part of it is I got more weight and more always leaning on my left. And you start to wonder, okay, so deGrom has a shoulder injury and a hip injury and a leg injury. Did any of that stuff start to affect the way he was throwing, the angle, the pressure? True. It's like, wow. So smart move by the Mets. Unbelievable. $185 million. And who knows what so you don't have him for a year and a half.
Yep.
And who knows what he comes back as.
Correct.
That's what's even worse.
I just want to say something real quick that makes me laugh. When we keep saying like our hip injury, I feel like we're Siamese twins. We have this hip injury, like it's like
crazy
because it's so funny how it's like the same fucking thing.
For those of you listening, I would say half of the time when we haven't run a podcast over the last 3 or 4 months, half of that time, some of the time it's just scheduling. Some of the time it was just there wasn't much for us to talk about, so we're not going to just give you bullshit. Half of the time was one of us was either in too much pain, at a doctor's appointment, at physical therapy. Like, that's really what's been going on. These two old bastards can't even sit to talk about sports for an hour and a half.
God almighty.
Crazy. So that's what's been going. That's why we keep bringing up the hip for sure. It's an unbelievable story, crazy story.
And I feel like the Rangers have done this before.
It does seem it has happened. It does seem like stuff like this has happened to them before.
They don't mind spending the money, but I feel like it's bad money. It's kind of like it's
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right. This is a tough one because you sign a guy like that and you're thinking, oh yeah, here we go. Ace. You got your ace. This is where it starts with baseball, right?
To give
How many years was that contract?
I think 5.
Whew, man,
I know, and he's gonna miss 2.
Oh God, it's just awful. But you got to pay him too.
To give the Rangers fans, and I don't know how many there are in this area, but to give them a little positivity, Verlander missed it, late in his career, and and came back and won a Cy Young. So it's not impossible.
No. I would think most of the guys actually come back and are okay. But
you're just missing it. Yeah,
it is what it is. I mean, it is surgery and it's major, and you never know what's going to happen. And that's just a long time. It's a long time to not be competitive. It's a long time to not say go 4, 5, 6 innings. He wasn't the most durable beforehand, whereas the Verlander definitely was. So, you never like to see guys get hurt. So, yeah, I'm not like happy about it for the Mets, but the Mets look smart. Yeah. Because they caught some heat. They certainly caught some heat for not signing him.
Yeah, and then they go out and sign Verlander, at 40 or 39 years old. And he hadn't looked great early, but he's coming back around. But
yeah. So, interesting enough. On the other hand, the Yankees doing okay.
Yeah,
had a nice little streak. Last time we talked, they were kind of floundering. They were maybe a game or two over 500. I think at the time they were 14-12, if I remember correctly. And right from the time we spoke, they went on a really nice run.
Hanging around the third place in the AL East.
Who's in first and second there?
The
Tampa,
Rays
which is
and
insane.
The Baltimore Orioles.
How about time?
Yeah, they got a lot of good young players, man. Their pitching's still not fantastic, and they got a couple injuries as well. I think a lot of this too's got to do with the men. These guys don't play through shit no more. Like, I don't know. Yeah. It's kind of weird. But hanging around. But this team cannot stay healthy for one fucking week.
It's insane, dude.
You get Donaldson, Canely, and Stanton back, and you lose Judge, Bader, and Nestor. Yeah, it's like, dude, it's like a goddamn son. It's a hockey line change.
Yeah,
with injuries. It's insane.
And the Judge thing hurts because he was really carrying them during this time when those guys were out, and then they went on this nice streak. I think he went I think at one point he had 9 home runs in 8 games, or 9 home runs in 9 games.
This team looks like they don't even want to be there when Judge isn't in the lineup.
I know,
and it's not their fault. You still have Rizzo and LeMahieu, and now it's a couple guys back with John Donaldson and Stanton and Glaber. But the other guys like Jake Bowers and Connor Falefa playing center field, and like Oswaldo Cabrera before he got sent down, like Volpe's struggling at the plate, even though like they let him play, let him work it out.
He had a nice game-winning home run the other night, though, right?
He's got some bombs. Let him play, but it's just like he's hitting 198.
Yeah.
So those guys are better like when Judge and Bader are playing.
For sure.
Like Connor Falefa doesn't play. Bowers is off the bat. Like.
Well, you kind of have your security blanket, right? Like when Judge is playing, you kind of have your security blanket. You have you have your guy. At least we got a chance at a home run.
Lineup's longer. Like he's your leader, he's your captain, of course. Like
but you can't lay an egg when he doesn't play.
I'm not going on a rant just yet, but this again 3 years now with the goddamn injuries, dude. It's like
Well, when you sign guys like Stanton or you sign them or trade for them and they're on 10-year contracts, you're going to be disappointed often.
And you traded for a guy in Bader who's already fucking hurt. You traded for a guy in Montez that was already hurt. You signed Canely with injury history in his 30s. Yep. Like, and this would keep bringing back Cashman. He's the rant. Keep bringing him back.
But then they'll go and win 15 out of 17, and they'll be, see, he knew what he was doing.
Yeah, fuck him.
Did they make the playoffs this year? Mid-June, do they make the playoffs this year?
So I said this to Mac last night at the game. I said they're going to make the playoffs because they're just too talented. They're a good regular season team, and they're like you said, they're going to put a streak together. Like 18 out of 21 or something like that. But they're not built for the playoffs. They're an older club now.
Haven't been for a long time.
That. Yeah, it's like they're missing a starter or two. They're relieved. Their bullpen's in shambles because he uses these guys so much. He has to. Yeah, they make the playoffs, but I think it's going to be like a one and done, or like they sneak in, maybe lose the playing game. I don't know. They'll get in.
One last thing before we get off. One last thing before we get off the Yanks. Over the last couple years when
I got
we
nothing
talk
after that.
Okay. Over the last couple of years, when we talk or when we listen to sports radio, especially New York-based sports radio, Aaron Boone catches a lot of heat. Some of it certainly deservedly so. I've ragged on him. You've given him some shit, but usually he kind of comes around, or usually does a good enough job. They make the playoffs. They look okay by the time the season ends. And like you just said, some of this is out of his hands with the way the team has been built around.
Power hitters.
Yeah. Analytics. And then with the injuries. So at this point, so far this season, plus minus neutral on positive, negative, neutral on Aaron Boone.
Neutral.
Okay.
Because I would have given him a positive. However, I was at 2 games where he pulled a starter where he shouldn't have not pulled a starter, and this feels like a real theme since he's been there. It's too early. They're not going to Wetland. They're not going to Mo. They're not even going to Dave. Like Clay Holmes at the time was very inconsistent. He's been better, since, which is good. But
correct me if I'm wrong, though. Hasn't that been more of the concern when it comes to Boone? Is that he pulls guys too early, not too late? I don't hear, he left them in too long. I very rarely hear that. I hear more he pulled them too early.
But however, now you go back to your other question, like, do they have this pre-written out?
Right. That's where the analytics come in.
Gets to 96, no matter what the fuck, pull. Like, listen, because the analytics doesn't believe in hot, nervous stomachs in the ninth, hot or cold, like off the field issue. Like, it's just straight numbers. And I don't think you can manage it. I don't think you can coach anything like that.
If you remember back, I don't know if it was this past season or it was the season before, it was when they lost in the playoffs. And Boone was asked flat out, like, are you the decision maker or are the numbers the decision maker?
Yeah.
And to his credit, we both gave him credit for saying, hey, I'm the decision maker. He doesn't throw the organization under the bus. But neither of us, and I don't know how many people believed it.
I agree.
Like, come on. So, yeah, how much of it is on him and how much of it is on this is our system? So it's tough. But I always get this from you that he's pulling too early. It's too early. It's never he left him in too long. It's always he pulled him too early.
Right.
And this is, I don't coach in the major leagues, but I'll give you an example of, hey, trust your players sometimes. And that's not always in the numbers. We had a game recently. I have 2 very good starters. One of them throws harder. So I had my hard thrower in there and he pitched a phenomenal first 2 innings. 3rd inning, he comes out and just lost it a little bit, right? Lost that groove. And he walks the bases loaded and then walked 1 run in. And I told, we were up at that point, it was 5-1. So I'm got a little wiggle room, but not too much.
Yeah.
I told my assistant, I said, I'm going to give him 1 more batter here. Like it's a 3rd inning. He's a kid. He's a 12-year-old kid. How far am I letting him go? He's 50 pitches in at this point.
Right.
I'm not trying to hurt anybody, but I gave him the 1 more batter. Strikes a kid, found his groove, struck a kid out. We get out of there with just giving up 1 run. Like, have a little faith in your players sometimes, especially your premier players. Like, have a little faith that they can work it out. Like, that they can come back around. They can lose the groove, but come back in and find it again, And it seems like analytics doesn't offer that to managers, Yep. It does happens all the time. A guy will have it, then lose it, then he finds it. You rise to the occasion. That happens in sports. Guys rise to the occasion. It's not just the numbers.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
Okay, you had one more thing, though?
Yeah. They finally waived Aaron Hicks.
Jesus.
And he goes to Baltimore, and now he's fucking Brady Anderson.
Who's the manager of Baltimore?
He just had to get out of there. Oh, John Saab. I don't know.
It's not Showalter.
Yeah.
It's not
no, he's a Mets manager.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
it is funny, but I don't care. This is one of those things. I don't care.
Yeah, I know.
Too
Goodbye. I
many
agree.
years I heard
I
about. Oh,
agree.
he's got all the potential in the world. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let him go show it with
Yeah.
Baltimore.
He's got a great 8-iron. Great. Goodbye. I asked you a question, sir, this morning. Can you name your top 5 baseball stadiums to visit that you have not seen yet?
Okay, so this is a tough one because I have seen Baltimore. I went to Baltimore one time, and even though it's the first of the newer stadiums, it's fantastic. It's fantastic.
It is. It's great.
It's fantastic. Yeah, I don't know if I have 5. I would love to go see Fenway, and I have not. Have you?
Nope, they're on my list.
Okay. Cubs.
Wrigley Field.
Have not.
I have. Fantastic. We got to do it.
Did you go nighttime or gay
Day.
game? Day game. Jesus. It was a gay game.
Day game in a rain
Nice.
delay. So drinking around the stadium was fantastic.
Oh my God. Yeah. Let me San Francisco. I always wanted to see one with the bay in the background.
Yep.
Plus, when I was much younger than you, how old were you when Bonds was doing his thing? Were you watching? You were in high school. Okay.
Yeah.
So like to see the place where that happened would be kind of cool. Give me a couple of years while I think.
I got 5. I got Target Field in Minnesota. Looks like a beautiful park.
New stadium, right? Yeah.
Newish. Yeah, definitely in the summer. I like to do that in the summertime where it's not 14 degrees. Number 4, I got Petco Park in San Diego.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful weather. They had a lot of money invested in that team. Probably a fun atmosphere. I know they're struggling a little bit now, but I think that'd be fun to go see there.
All right, so I have one more I'll add. Where the Dodgers play?
Chavez Ravine. Yeah, I almost had that written down. That's probably 6 for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Number 3, I got Busch Stadium where the Cardinals play. Great baseball city.
Yeah,
my dad was a Cardinal fan, so that's nostalgic for me.
Stay in the man.
Yep. Number 2, PNC Park in Pittsburgh.
Really?
Dude, the view looks. I know Stavali's been there. The view, the food, the beer, and I heard it's pretty cheap. You could sit kind of low. My buddy Alan, Alan Alcalde, he's out there now.
Yeah, of course.
And he goes all the time. He said, "Dude, you gotta get out here. It's incredible."
Nice.
They block the bridge, and you can walk on the ground on game days. It's a good atmosphere. They do it right. And number 1, you said it before, Fenway Park, legendary, small, cozy, like fan. You're on top of you, except if you're a Yankee fan wearing Yankee shit, not too cozy for anybody there. But I think that's a must see too if you're a baseball.
Would you wear Yankees gear? Would you get dressed?
If they played the Yankees, I would probably wear Yankee gear. Because I heard it's not as bad anymore now that they've won a couple and they've actually been better franchise than us the last 15 years.
Sure.
But if I'm going to see like Red Sox, Rays, I would wear neutral shit. I wouldn't wear just to piss people off because I didn't like that when people do that to me.
Sure.
So.
Speaking of stadiums, did you happen to see the rendition of the new Jaguars potential stadium?
Oh yes, I have.
Jesus Christ, it looks like one of those European soccer team stadiums or something that you would see in the Olympics, which makes sense because their owner is a freaking bazillionaire and he's from England, and that if that comes to fruition, that'll be pretty cool.
Yeah,
that'd be pretty cool.
So then that knocks him out of moving to London, thank God. And that fucking story.
Come on. Did you really ever think that was going to happen?
Dude, I don't know. With this,
if there was an organization that it would have happened to, it could have been Jacksonville because it's just not a hot area. But that would have not gone over very well with American fans. So that would have been a tough take. I still don't know about a full-time team in Europe. That plane ride thing is like the travel is
the schedules.
The scheduling of it is tough, and then that team is going to be forced to come to America, like take these long trips all the time.
Like what? You play the first you play the first 8 games at home, and then you just stay in the States. But like
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. It's just they would have to do some kind of like streaky thing, like 3 home, 3 away. That kind of thing. You couldn't make
3 home, 4 away, bye week, 4. Yeah, like
you'd have to. But then that's not fair to other teams in the NFL because to play 4 straight home games is quite the advantage that other teams wouldn't get. Or are you going to have that with other teams? I don't know. I just don't know that logistically that works out. I think a team in Mexico or Canada works out way better just because of the time zone stuff. It just doesn't make much sense. So,
you ready for Scotty Trivia?
I am this is my favorite. I look forward to this every freaking time we do this. So
I got some good ones today, baseball related.
Baseball. Here we go.
I got 3. The Brooklyn Dodgers nickname originally referred to dodging what?
Oh,
Bullets,
shit.
the police, trolleys, horse poop.
I'm going to say, shit, I wish I had a better view of their logo in my head. I don't know if it would help. I'm going to say trolleys.
You, my friend, are 1 for 1.
Yes.
That's pretty cool,
Good
right?
start.
I'm like,
Good start. Yeah, I love that kind of stuff.
the first reliever elected to the Hall of Fame. Goose Gossage, Hoyt Wilhelm, Dennis Eckersley, Raleigh Fingers.
Damn. I wanted to say Goose, but I feel like it wasn't him, but people thought he should have been in and then got in later. So I'm going to take him off. So Dennis Eckersley, who else are my choices?
Raleigh Fingers and Hoyt Wilhelm.
Shit. I think I'm going to get this one wrong. I'm going to say Raleigh Fingers.
You, my friend, are now 1 for 2.
Ah, shit. Who was it?
Hoyt Wilhelm.
What year? Do you have it?
I don't have it, but I remember him.
You have a decade?
I remember him from the famous movie 61.
So we're talking like back.
Where he was pitching to Roger Maris, and he was a knuckleballer.
Oh, so we're
And
talking
the major
like back
comes down
in
and goes,
the
you throw this guy a fastball, I'm going to fine your ass $500.
All right, so we're talking about well, not necessarily that's what he played back then, but who knows when he actually got into the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, so obviously Goose Raleigh Fingers played in what, the 70s, Dennis
And
Eckersley,
80s.
70s and 80s. Yeah, so
Did Eckersley play into the 90s?
maybe a little bit. Yeah,
Might
probably.
have.
I think that
so,
sounds
yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. Damn. Shit.
All right, it's all right. At least you didn't. It wasn't Goose. So like you had Goose, but you took him off, and it was the right move anyway. All right,
But there was some controversy about him making, right? Like,
you
was it a
were
delay?
dead right about that. Yes.
People thought he should have been. He wasn't yet. Even he was a little vocal about it.
Yeah, because he was playing, because he was closing games 3 innings, and like no one did that. And Goose is a big mouth anyway.
Right. Yeah.
What player won the AL MVP in 1989 without making the All-Star team? Kevin Mitchell, Jose Canseco, Fergie Jenkins, Robin Yount.
Could you read those options one more time?
89 MVP without making the All-Star team. Kevin Mitchell, Jose Canseco, Ferguson Jenkins, Robin Yount.
89. God, Kevin Mitchell is stuck in my fucking head because I feel like Robin Yount would make the All-Star game. Kevin Mitchell, Robin Yount. Who are the other two?
Ferguson Jenkins, Jose Canseco.
It ain't Jose Canseco. Get the fuck out of here. I'm going to go Kevin Mitchell.
It'd be Robin Yount.
Damn it! He didn't make the All-Stars?
How funny is that, right? It's crazy.
I suck. I talked myself right out of the right
You
answer.
did. I love it when you do that.
Damn it. There's no way he missed the All-Stars.
Yeah, no, there's a way.
Shit. Oh, man. Damn. All right. 1 and 2 this weekend. Not good.
I love
So, love it. Damn, that one bothers me. The other one, the second one, I could see getting wrong. That one I should have gotten right.
Yep.
Very good. As always, great job.
Thank you,
105 in the books. We love our trivia. I'm gonna have to do better next week. Hopefully, we have a podcast. Hopefully, both of us, or at least one of us, can walk or sit. Never know, though. Anything is possible. First, what did I say? We get the RBC this weekend.
Yep,
and
RBC.
Do we have any other nice sporting events going on this weekend?
NBA Finals, NHL Stanley Cup still going on.
We didn't get to talk about, but the fact that the Florida Panthers are in the NHL Finals is just as big a story sports-wise as Miami being in the finals.
And getting smoked.
So far, yes, so far.
Yeah.
But they've looked amazing. I mean, they knocked out Pittsburgh, who had the greatest regular season in history. So, yeah, a lot of cool stuff to watch. And who knows? I don't know if there's any fights on. I should have looked into that. But hey, you can look it up yourself. That's what the little smart device is for. For Scott Bracey, I'm Pete Colasano. You've been listening to Bump and Run, and we'll catch you guys next week.
Later.
All right. Good stuff. We survived.
Beautiful. Excellent.
I got to go lay down on the floor and
Yeah.
elevate my legs.
Go ice yourself.
All right, dude. I'll have this out. I should have it out tonight. It's Wednesday, but I should have it out tonight.
All right, no pressure. Feel better, dude.
All right, bud. Talk to you later.
All right, see you, pal.
Bye.